Hey guys, Carl from Purple Misplaced. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Solani, one of the two pillars of creation games from Final Frontier Games, and this time from designer Drake Villareal. The Pillars of Creation games were a Kickstarter campaign that was run by Final Frontier Games, focusing on sort of lesser-known cultures' mythology of the creation of stars and constellations. In this case, the Navajo mythology of the creation of constellations. And this one is a sort of spatial puzzle, tile-laying, abstract strategy kind of game in which you find yourself building out the night sky of stars, forming constellations, and scoring based on placement on the board. No disclaimer needed here because I did back this Kickstarter myself. With that said, let's head down to the table to see how the solo mode in this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a solo game of Solani, begin by placing the main board out on the table. Then choose one of the player boards that does not show the coyote, simply because the coyote is the AI player in the solo mode, and place that out on the table as well. Next, off to the side of the scoring board, you will be placing the score marker associated with your board, which is this one right here, as well as one star. This star is going to be sort of a marker that you've wrapped the score track once, so that will be 20 points if I pass 20 points on the score track. And again, this one is just going to be keeping track of the score on this board like this. So I'm just going to set it off to the side like that with the star as well. And in addition, for the solo mode, because the solo mode plays out over 12 rounds, I'm going to be using the coyote marker, which again, the coyote will be the AI in this game. And I'll set that on 1, and I'll use that as a round tracker for the game. Then to set up the main board for gameplay, I'm going to be placing out 8 random planets onto the board, starting here from the center as I did, snaking out, leaving the last 2 spots on each side empty. And then I'm just going to place the rest of those off to the side, off screen, if I need them for later in gameplay. When this empties completely, or should I say if it empties completely, I'll bring those back in later. Next, I got to set up my own player board, and the first thing I need to do is place out some dark branch tokens. And to do so, I'm going to choose or shuffle and randomly choose one of these dark branch sort of setup tiles. And I'm just going to spin it around like that and flip it. And then exactly as it's shown in the orientation that I flipped it, I'm going to place the dark branch tokens in the 4 locations as seen here. So in this case, as you can see here, in this location, here, and here, I will be placing dark branches. Matching the card like this, and then the rest of the dark branches are returned to the box. And then finally, I need to set up sort of all of the scoring goals for the game. The first scoring goals are going to be these endgame scoring tiles. So I'm going to give those a shuffle, and then I'm going to draw 4 of those at random to be our scoring goals for this game. And I'll explain what they are later when I get into gameplay, but for right now, I'm just going to place the 4 of them out down here at the bottom of the screen like this. And then for my player board as well, I'm going to be using these astral cards. So I'm going to take this astral deck, give that a shuffle. And again, from here, I will also be selecting or randomly drawing 4 cards. Like that, and I then need to find each of the associated tokens based on this symbol from the box. And then finally, I need to set out the sky scoring cards. And the way that's going to work is I'm going to choose only the cards that show the player count that I am playing, and with the solo mode, since there is an AI, this is sort of effectively a 2-player game that also determines the number of planets that I put out on the screen. And you can see here at the top of this card, you can see the 2-player mark. And again, at the top of this card, 2-player mark, placing the lower number at the bottom and the higher number at the top with the blue side up. And I'm just going to set that here over to the side. And then finally, because we are playing solo and I do need to set up the AI mode, the AI is just this double-sided card, and it starts with the blue side face up. So I'm going to set that here, and then I'll use this area over here for all of the AI's collected stuff throughout the game. And with that, we are all set up for gameplay, aside from the bag of path tiles and the bag of star tiles. I'm just going to keep those off screen, and I'll pull them in as I need to draw from them. So as I mentioned earlier, a solo game of Solani will be playing out over 12 rounds. And in each round, I'm going to begin the round by drawing 3 of those branch tiles and then 3 of the star cluster tiles from the bags and placing them out onto this board as a sort of available market for that round. So again, first from here, I will draw 3 branches like that. And from here, 3 star clusters, 1, 2, 3, like that. And these star clusters are always going to show a number between 2 and 4, and sometimes some of the stars will not be filled in. You'll see it's just the outline of a star. Those are called bright stars, and they will score specially, and I'll explain those in a minute. But I just want you to understand that this will always range from 2 to 4 stars. Likewise, the paths will always vary from 1 path to 4 paths. I don't have any 4. This is a 3-path branch, 1 branch here and 1 branch there. There are 2 branches that are straight across from each other. There are 2 branches that form sort of an L shape like this. The 3 always looks like this, and the 4 would just be an X with all 4 branches. And then the way that the gameplay is going to work is, I'm going to choose to draft 1 star cluster or 1 branch tile, and then the AI, based on its current sort of system, depending on which side of the card is faced up, is going to draft another tile of that same type. Then the AI will draft the other tile type first, and then I will follow by also drafting 1 tile of that type. Then the remaining tile of each type will be discarded from the game, and we'll move into the next round. There are a few extra rules in there that I will explain in just a minute, but before I explain anything, I want to explain why we're doing the things that we are doing. And there are a variety of different scoring goals that you see at the bottom of the board, plus the sort of general scoring that's going to be happening on my player board. And the general scoring is this. At the end of the game, every star cluster that I have on my board, including these ones here that have been pre-printed on the board, are going to score a number of points equal to the number of stars in that cluster, assuming that the branch tokens around it only have a number of branches exactly equal to the number of stars on that space. So at the end of the game, if this space has only 1 branch pointing at it from either of these 2 locations, I will score 1 point. Likewise, if this one in the middle has 4 branches, means all 4 of these branch tokens are pointing towards that center space, I will score 4 points for that space. The endgame scoring is going to come from these 4 tiles, so let me show you how that works. Before I can explain this, I want to explain what this picture here means. This star, or the sky here, is basically split into 4 quadrants. The north, south, east, and west quadrants, and that's sort of, this long line is the bottom line of the north, this long line is the sort of leftmost line of the east, and so on. So there are 4 quadrants, and you can kind of see that pointed or shown here. And also some of the tiles or some of the tokens, like this one here, which I'll show you in just a minute, refer to sort of the outer ring, which are these spaces out here, or the inner ring, which are these 8 spaces here in this sort of square shape. So my 4 endgame goals for this game, this one says I'm going to get 2 points for each pair of planet and bright star in the northern sky. Here I'm scoring 3 points for each pair of matching planets, which is going to be interesting because I'll explain one more thing about planets in a minute. This one's again scoring 2 points for pair of planet and bright star in the eastern sky, and 2 points for planet and bright star in the western sky. I didn't get a whole lot of mixed endgame scoring, so actually I'm going to swap out this one. Call it cheating if you will, but I want to draw 1 more tile from that stack so that there's a little bit more variability for you to see in the video. And this one here is going to score points, 3 points, if I have a full set of all 5 different branch tokens. So here you can see the 5 different shapes that I explained earlier. And if I can get them all on my board, I will score 3 points. So you did see that the other 3 goals are focused on planets. Planets are going to be special. When I draft a star cluster, instead of placing it out on my board, I can instead swap it for a planet. And the way that works is you can see here a 3-star, a 2-star, or a 4-star. If I'm swapping a 3-star tile, I have to choose the next planet from this direction. Likewise, from a 2-star tile, I have to choose the first planet from this direction. And if I swap a 4, I can choose either direction from that center space, but of course the first planet from that location. And I will be placing planets out on my board just like I do with the star clusters, except that at the end of the game, planets only score if there are 0 paths. It means there are no branches connected to that planet. If there are branches connected to the planet will be turned upside down and it will not count for any scoring. So anytime I place out a planet, I need to be sure that nothing is directed or nothing is pointing at that location. And then in addition to these endgame scoring goals, planets will also score based on the number of unique planets in each sky. So you're going to look at each sky separately, and then in that sky, the number of different colored planets times 2 will be the points I receive for the planets in that sky. Which means if I have a planet here, that would score 2 points for this sky, as well as 2 points for the northern sky as well, assuming that there are no other planets of the same color in the sky already. Because if I have 2 or more of the same planet in the same sky, it doesn't score extra points because they're only scoring if there are unique planets. However, this endgame score is scoring points for matching planets. So if I want to be smart about that, I should, for example, place one colored, say blue colored planet there, and the other blue planet would then be over here to make sure that they're in opposite or completely separate skies from each other, in which case they would both score as much as possible. The next scoring is all of my own sort of personal scoring goals, but let me explain a little bit more about how the game plays before I talk about these, because I haven't yet explained the rules about how things get placed, and I also want to explain how the AI works in a little bit more detail before I focus on this more difficult stuff. And this isn't going to happen until later on in the game. So let me walk through one turn or one round of the game first, and then I'll come back and explain how each of these works. So again, on my turn, I get to choose to either draft one of these or one of these first. The AI will then also draft one of those and then the other token, and finally I will draft the second token. For the first 6 rounds of the game, the AI, the coyote, is patient. And what's going to happen is this. If whatever token type I choose, they will then draft the smallest one of that type. And if there are pairs of stars that are of the same size for either of these categories, they will always prioritize the ones that have the bright stars. So again, if I chose, say for example, this 3, they would then choose the smallest, which would be this 2 star cluster. And then after that, they will immediately then draft the largest of the other type of tile. So if I, for example, again, drafted that 3, they would take this 2, and then they would take this 3 branch token because that's the largest of these 3. Vice versa, if I took, say for example, this 1, they would take the smallest here, which is 1, and then the largest here, which is 4. And I need to be careful about what I'm drafting, not just for myself, but also for the AI, because the way that the AI is going to score is, first you will see on each of the endgame tiles, there are some numbers printed here. And these are the 3 different difficulty levels of the AI, easy, sort of normal, and difficult. And they're going to score a number of points for each of these just based on that flat value as printed. For this playthrough, I will be playing difficult level just to give myself the biggest challenge. So for example, here they'd be scoring 12 points, here 14 points, here 12 points, and here 14 points as well. So I know that they're already starting with those points, and there's nothing I can do about that except I need to score more than they do. But then they will also be scoring branch and stars similarly to the way that I do, except that for every pair in their own sort of area of matching branch and star. So for example, if they had a 3 branch and a 3 star in their own area, they would score that number of points. So this would be 3 points if they had one pair like that in their area. So I need to do my best to avoid matching branches and star clusters in their area. So if I give them lots of 4 stars, that's fine, as long as they don't get any 4 branches, then they don't score at all. Also, when they draft a bright star, rather than taking that into their tableau, as long as there are planets left, they will instantly switch that bright star for a planet. And the AI is going to score 2 points per unique planet on easy mode, or 3 points per unique planet on medium or normal and difficult mode. And then in addition to the unique planets, they will score 1 point per matching or non-unique planet on easy and normal mode, or 2 points per non-matching planet on difficult mode. The only thing I haven't really explained to you are bright stars, and I will talk a little bit more about those as they come out, because their placement does mean something, but right now we don't have any of those. So I'm just going to play out this first round as normal, then I'll explain these goals, I'll explain the bright stars, and then I'll get into the rest of my playthrough. So I know that there are no one-star star clusters. So if an AI gets one of these single branch paths, that means nothing to them because they can't get anything from that. So allowing them to take one of those is not a problem, except that they will then get this 4 immediately. So if I took this 3, they're going to take a 1, but then they're also going to take that 4, which may or may not be a good idea because 4s also score a lot for me. But if I take that 3 or that 4, they're going to take the 2 and then instantly take that 3. So I need to make sure I don't take this 4. Because if I take this 4, no, that's fine. I don't take this 2. Because if I take the 2, the smallest is a 3, and then the largest is a 3, and they'd instantly score 3 points, which is bad for me. But right now, I'm not too worried about anything, and I don't really know what's going to happen. So let's do this, just so I can show you how things work, because it's not bad idea. I'm going to take that 2, which means they're going to take the, that's the thing I said I couldn't do. Never mind. Hold on. Yeah, you know what? I'll let them have the 4 for now, and I'll do my best to avoid giving them 4s moving forward, because I want that 3. It means they take one of these 1s, and again, a 1 doesn't do anything for them, so I'm just going to stick the 1s up there. And then that means they take a 4. So I'm going to use sort of 2, 3, 4 here for them. Then I get to take a star cluster, and I'm going to take a 3, which means that this star and this path go away. And now I come to my board and I get to place things out. Placement rules work like this. A star cluster must be placed next to a branch token that's already there. So right now, I need to place next to one of these 4 dark branch tokens. And a branch token must be placed next to a star cluster that's already on the board, including these sort of pre-printed star clusters. So I think for now, I'm going to put that 3 there, which means I need to do my best to make sure all 3 of those branches are pointing there, because the dark branch doesn't point at all. And then I will place this 3 like, hold on a minute, I'm thinking backwards. I'm going to do the exact thing, but opposite over here. No, that says northern. I'm scoring for planets in northern sky and eastern sky. So realistically, I want that to be a planet. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to put that there. And I'm going to place that like this. Because doing that, this pathway points here, and it's the only one, so that's going to score 1 point. This is pointing to 3, which is good if I can get those other 2 pointing there. And this one, well, it's got a path pointing to it, so it could be something nice. And then here you can see already I have a hole that has nothing pointing to it. And what that means is that's a great spot for a planet. And I'm potentially scoring things for planets in the eastern sky and the northern sky. And this is both eastern and northern skies. So that's a great spot to put a planet. And with that, that's the end of the first round. We move into the second round. But before doing that, let me finish explaining the rest of the goals. These 4 cards here are going to be unique tokens that get placed out as stars on my board. And depending on where I place them and how I place them, they are going to score extra points. And the way that these get placed out is, at any point, if a dark branch token is surrounded on all 4 sides by other branch tokens or the edge of the board, that branch token will then flip over, and I will get to choose one of these 4 things to place out on my board. So again, if I placed one more branch here, This one would be completely surrounded because there's nothing here and there's nothing here. That would flip over and I'd get to place out one of those. And placing out these, I can place them anywhere I want to. It doesn't matter how many branches, or if any branches even, are connected to them. They're simply going to score based on what it shows on the card. So let me show you what I have. This one is going to score 1 point if it's in the western sky, and 1 point if it has one connection and only one connection. So this one, it will matter for connections, but mostly they do not. I say that, but now looking at mine, I have a bunch that do. This one, again, 1 point for the western sky and 1 point if it has 2 or more unique connections. And unique means different branch tokens. Flash lightning needs to be in the north sky for 1 point, and again 1 point for 2 or more matching connections now. And then finally, the campfire here needs to be on one of the outside locations for a point, and the other point says there's no bright stars in the same sky as that one. Which is tricky because if it's in the outside edge, that means it's looking in this direction and this direction. So there are 2 skies I have to avoid putting stars in if I'm looking here. And looking at my endgame scoring, I want stars, bright stars and planets in the north and east. Means this one should be in the west and south, and or south. So potentially I could put that one like here or here to score the most points. In addition to scoring the points as printed on the card, I will also score points as printed at the bottom of this card. So every time I place out a token, I will check this card or whatever card is visible, and in this case I would get an additional 2 points for placing while this card is showing. And what this card shows me is, if I complete an entire sky, means north, south, east, or west, filling in all of the star clusters in that sky, I will score the number of points shown here, and then this card will flip over. And at the end of that round, this card will go away, and then from that point on, this card is showing. Now I can only do that once. If I finish a second sky or a third sky or a fourth sky, I won't score any more points for those. So I'm basically either scoring 5 points or 2 points. And what this means is in the 7th round, when the coyote flips to the more aggressive side, this will also flip over. So by the end of the 7th round, I need to fill in a complete sky if I want to score 5 points. Otherwise, I will just score 2 points. And you'll see that those astral tokens that I was just talking about will only score 1 additional point after that happens. And since there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces in a sky, that means I need to basically focus on one sky and or get lots of astral tokens out to place extra tokens in order to hit that point score before it flips from the coyote. So I hope that all makes sense, but let's go ahead into the second round and so on, and you'll see how the rest of the game plays out. So again, placing out my tokens. 1, 2, 3, I'll flip those in a second, like that. One, 2, 3. And here's where I need to be careful. But not really. This 4 would tie up with that 4 or with that 4. Yes, I do need to be careful. If I take here first, they're going to take the largest of the other, which means they get a 4, and I don't want that. So I need to take from here first, and I can't take that 1 or they're going to get a 4. So I will take a 4, which means that they get that 1 again. And they take the largest of here. So they're going to take that 4 as well, which is a little bit sad, but so be it. And then I want to... Oh, I don't have a choice. I get a 3 or I get a planet, actually. I could take a brown planet. And since it's the only brown planet, I don't know that I want that because I want matching colors out there, and I don't know that we're going to use up all of the planets. So let's see what happens. I'm going to take that 3 and not switch. Now I could instantly place this here and trigger that, but right now I don't love it. Well, that would make that a 2. That's already covered for 1. And that could be a 4 later on. That's actually not a bad idea. And doing that, I could make it so that this only has this one connection and he would be in the right place to be there. Huh, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. All right, then I'm gonna put this through here and I will keep that there, which means this flips. And I will place them right there. Hold on. Yeah, that's fine. Because as I'm placing, it only has one connection. It only has one connection and it's on the western sky. Good, so I'm getting 2 points there plus 2 points here, which gets me 4 points like that. And these go away like that. All right, then round 3, moving next. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, lots of 4s and a 2. Remember, for this, I do want unique paths. I've got a 3 and a 4 so far. Drawing some stars. All right. And here you can see our first bright star. And bright stars are going to work that. When they get placed out in the night sky, I'm going to score 1 point per bright star in one of the skies that that star is placed in. So anywhere I put this right now is just going to be 1 point. But next time, if I put another bright star here, I'd be scoring 1 for that plus 1 for that because they're in the same sky. And then if I put one here and looked at this eastern sky, that would be 1, 2, 3 points and so on. So as I sort of grow the bright stars in my sky, things will sort of work out well. And right now, the AI is focused on larger, smaller priority first. When the coyote becomes impatient, they will focus on the bright stars only. So right now, they're not looking at this 3 as a bright star until they look at it as a 3 first. So if I take any of these, they'll take the lowest whatever, which would be that 2 if I don't take it. And then they would take one of these 4s, and again, they don't have any 4 pathways, and if I keep them away from it, that would be nice. So I'm going to take a 4, which means they take a 2. And then I'm going to take that bright star, like that. And I'm going to place that 3 bright star here like this, scoring 1 point because it's the only one in its sky. I'm sort of focused on filling in this top sky. And then this branch, I need to surround this 4 with stuff that's pointing there. And I've got all of these 3s. So I'm going to put that here to look at eventually getting that flipped. Like that. But before I do that, let me make sure I'm going to have a place for you. This one I'm going to focus on putting there, I think. This one, hold on. Yeah, then this one I'm going to focus on putting down here, maybe? Yeah, because I want stars there and I want stars there. Which means this one with 2 plus matching connections, that's a problem. I wanted to put a planet there, but that might have to go there. Or I'm sacrificing 1 point. I might just sacrifice the 1 point and place that up here. Yeah, I think that's my only option, unless I don't place that 3 there. Well, I do want stars in here and here. But this is worth more than a single point. So yeah, I'm going to leave that there, and we'll just sacrifice a point for that when the time comes. That's my turn, although I took out of order. I took the 4, he took the 2, then he should have taken another 4. Sorry. Those go away. Round 4. Drawing again. Lots of 4s. And this looks very nice. All right, quick apology for that jump. I started recording and realized my mic wasn't on, so I needed to turn back time a little bit. Then, This round is going to be great because these are all 4s, so I don't care at all. They're going to get a 4 regardless. So I want them to get that 1. I'm going to take this 2. Yeah, I'm going to take that 2 because I need to start sort of diversifying here. I still need a straight 2 and one of these ones for me, but that means they get this 1 like that. They take a 4. I don't really want that 4 because right now I don't have a place for it except maybe right there, and we'll figure that out later. Could be there as well. But I want to start getting planets, so I'm going to take this blue planet and place that up here like that. Because remember, I'm looking for northern sky and eastern sky, and that does both of those things. And then I'm going to place this, it doesn't do a whole lot of good for me, but I'm going to place this here. I don't care what's pointing at that. This gets me one more path for there, and it's also not pointing here, which potentially is another planet, but it also lets me flip this one like that. And then looking at what I've got down here, I don't have 2 matching or 2 unique connections yet, so I'm going to focus on this one, prioritizing this one. I'm going to place it down here because it's scoring a point if there's no stars. So I can't put it here, I can't put it in the north at all. Anywhere else is fine, but it wants to be on the outside edge. And this is a planet, this and this are something else, and most of these things are left and up, which means this could be here and this could be here potentially. So that seems to be the best place for it to go. Again, outside edge is a point, no stars, bright stars in this or this sky. I'm allowed to play it there because this is here. So that's 2 points for that, and 2 points because this card is still showing. 1, 2, 3, 4. These get cleared, and we move to round 5. Drawing out new tiles. 1, 2, 3, like that. And 1, 2, 3, like this. All right, so here we've got a 3 with a bright star, which is nice to have, except I've got all 3s. Oh, it doesn't matter. I don't have anything that's scoring on anything else. So yeah, I want that. If I take that, they take a 2 and a 3, that's fine, because I wouldn't mind having that, because I do again need to diversify for this scoring condition. So let's stick to that, I think. But a 3 is tricky. I kind of ruined by putting this here because the only thing I can do stars is here. And a 3 doesn't score there, only a 2 does. So I want a 2 star to go there. But I've got a better idea. I'm going to take that 3 and I'm going to swap it for, this is the number 3 for that planet. So they don't get the bright star, but I do get a planet. Which means they take a 2, which is a little bit unfortunate because they're scoring that 2. But the 2 is sort of the lowest points they could score, so I'm okay with that. Then they take a 3. And then I take a 2 or a 3. And I think what I'm going to do is take the 2. Because it diversifies, if I put the 2 like that, I'd think about putting it there, but the problem is if I put it there, it kills one path to this location, so this couldn't be a 4. If I do that, these 2 are both pointing here, so this can still be a 4. This doesn't have a connection, but it can from there. If I got a 3-way connection from that. And here now I've got a single pathway and a double pathway, which is 2 unique connections for that one in the western sky. So that's set up to go there, which is good. Like that. Then my planet is going here, because now I have 2 unique planets in this sky, which is good to have. If I could put another star there, I'd love a 2 bright star there, because then I have 2 planets and 2 bright stars in that sky. But unfortunately in this direction that's less exciting, but that's okay. Yeah, that's the end of 5. We move to 6. Drawing again. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, there's my 2 bright star, but that means they're getting a 4 bright star. But that's okay, because the 4 will become a 3 when it scores for planets. All right. Ooh, and there's a 3 branch for me. That's kind of perfect. All right, I'm going to take that 3. Because then they'll take the lowest, which is a 2, and they don't have any more 2s right now. And then they take the largest, which is that 4 star, but because it's a bright star, they're switching it for a blue or a red. They will always take one of a color that they don't already have. Otherwise, I can pick. And I want that blue, potentially, to do a match with that blue over here somewhere. So I'm going to give them that red because there are lots of other reds. So that's their first planet. And then I take the 2 star, which is perfect because a 2 star goes right there. It is going to score because it's got 2 branches. It's a bright star, so 1, 2 for the bright stars, 10, 11. And then I have finished my northern sky, and this is still at 5. So I get 5 points up to 16. That's going to flip over like that. And I place this branch somewhere good. Yeah, that's the one I was waiting for right there. So that goes right there. This 1, 2, 3 is good. This 1 is good, like that. Those go away. And we move into round 7. Now, in round 7, the coyote is no longer patient. The coyote becomes impatient. So their priorities are reversing. Whatever I pick, they're going to take the largest of, and whatever I don't pick, they're going to take the smallest of. Also, they're focused uniquely on bright stars. So long as there are bright stars, they will always take a bright star first. And they're still swapping bright stars for planets as they can. If there are no planets at any point when they swap, what's going to happen is they will take the bright star, and the bright star will just score them 1 point per bright star at the end of the game. So let's put out stuff again. I'm sorry. End of the round, that was flipped, so it goes away. And the problem is now, because that happened now, he flips this, means this also flips because it's at the start of the round. So if I can finish one of these this round, I will still get 1 point, but after this round, it will go away, and that extra 1 bonus point will also disappear. So let's put out some tokens. 1, 2, 3. There's a bright star. If I let them have it, they will. And 1, 2, 3, like that. Okay. Now we need to pay attention. What I take, they get largest. So if I take anything here, they're going to take this unless I do. If I don't take anything here, they're going to take this unless I do. Because they're always prioritizing this regardless of it's big or small. So even if I take this 3, they're not going to take the 4 as largest because there is a bright star there. They'll still take that 2. So I can determine here whether they take a 2 or a 4 based on whether I choose first or last. So I want them to take the largest here. So I should choose here first. No, the largest here is going to get them a 4, and that scores. I want them to not take the largest there. But then I also don't want them to have that 2. Yeah, if I take here, they take largest here, which is a 4. And then, yeah, let's do that. Anyway, I'm taking this 2. Means they're taking a 4 because that's largest now. And then they'll take the smallest, which means either of these 2s. And at this point, I don't know what they're going to get. I mean, there's 2 2s. They're going to get one of those, and I get to choose which one they get. Do I care straight or bent? Not really, because I'm going to take the 4 anyway. So yeah, I don't care. I'll do that, and I'm going to take the 4. I think. Because the other option is to place, hold on, is to place here to flip that. Which might be smart. So that I can get this out while I get a point. Yeah, let's do that. In which case I don't want the 4 because I want that as a possible planet spot. I'm going to take this 2. Let me just double check that I don't want that 2. It doesn't really matter that much. All right, so I'm going to take this 2 and place it this way, which does activate that one and is pointing here. Yeah, good. Because if I had done the other one, then this is a nothing. Because right now it only has 1. It can only have 1 more. So that's only going to be a 2 at best. And then I'm going to place this 2 right here next to that branch because there's a bright star and there's a bright star in the same sky, so that's 2 points. 1, 2. And then this flips because it's surrounded. And this one has a single branch and a double branch, so those are unique. In the western sky, that goes there. It scores 2 points plus 1. Here is 3. 1, whoops, that's not my points. 1, 2, 3, so I get the star. To show I've got 20. These clear away. This card goes away like that. And we move to round 8. Again, drawing tokens. 1, 2, 3. I do want to get 2 more planets. I want a blue planet here and brown was a mistake. Why did I do that? That should have been red. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Oh well, because I'm not going to get brown unless all of those go away. Anyway, I still want a planet here and I still want a planet here, so red and blue. Red can go here, blue can go there. All right, and branches. 1, 2, 3 branches. I still need to find a 1. I've got a 2 bent, a 2 straight, a 3, and a 4. I need a 1 single somewhere. And I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll see what happens. Then, 2s and 3s for branches. There's a 4 star here. I don't want them to get a 2 or a 3. But if they get this 4, they're going to take another planet, which would be a blue, which is 3 points instead of 4 points. But getting them to that 2 is not a bad idea. Yeah, so I'm going to take that 4 so they don't. Which means they will take the largest here is a 3. That gets them 3 points. And then the smallest here is one of these 2s like that. And then, yeah, I'm going to take that 3. I was going to swap for a planet, but I don't think I will right now. Because that star is nice to have. I'm going to put that there. Like that. Which scores 1, 2, 3 stars in that area. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to put this one like that. There. Because now that's perfect for a planet. This has, that's got 2 now. Hold on. I don't want that. I want the 2. Yeah, that. Because now that's perfect for a planet. That's only got 1 path. This could still have 4. And this could still have 2 either here or there or both. Good. Next, round 9. Branches, 1, 2, 3. Whoops, that's 4. Let me draw again. Branches. 1, 2, 3. Come on, 1. Nope, but that 4 looks nice. And then 3. 1, 2, 3. 2s are not things that I need anymore. Yes I do. I need a 2 here. And if I take that 2, he takes a 3, which doesn't score, and then takes a 2, which doesn't do anything. Yeah, I'm going to do that. He takes the largest, which is a 3, and then takes the smallest here, which is a 2. I don't care because I want the 4. So that, I take a 4 like that. This 2 will go here and score 1, 2 for the southern sky. 1, 2. This 4 goes there. Like that. Because now that's 1, 2, 3. This is 1, 2, 3, and this one is getting closer to 4, as is that one. Okay. Done. Round 10. 1, 2, 3. There's my 1. Yay. And then 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, 2. They take the smallest of the 1 I don't take, and I want that 1. But I don't really want them to get that 4 because that scores 4 points. So I may have to sacrifice that. I also don't want them to turn that 2 into a planet because I'm going to do it instead. Yeah, that's sad, but I take a 2. But that's going to score them either way. Yeah, they take a 2. I'm sacrificing 3 points though. If I don't get that 1. Yeah, that's fine. They get 2 points for that, but they're going to take the 1. I will take a 4 again. And I'm trading this 2 for the next planet from the 2 side, which is red. Goes there. Like that. And then this 4 can go wherever I want it to go. Here. So I could put a 4 there. Or this one actually goes there nicely because those 2 are matching. That scores 1 point. But otherwise it's going to be empty. Well, we'll see what happens. Because if I can put another 4 there, that's a better spot for this. All right, this goes away. Round 11. 1, 2, 3. There's another single, and those are 3s. I might let them have the 3, but we'll see. 1, 2, 3 like that. Ooh, there's a 4. But do I give him a 2 planet? I think so. Ah, no. Yeah. I have to. Because if I give them this, if I take the 1, they get a 3, which is gonna score 3 points here. And then they take the 2 star, which is gonna get them more stuff. Meanwhile, if I take the 2 star, which could actually work right there, like that, they're gonna take the 4, which does nothing. And then they're gonna take the 1, which also does nothing. So that's better for me. And then I get a 3. Which is fine. That 2 is a star, 1, 2, 3 in the southern sky. 1, 2, 3 like that. And then this branch, if I put it this way, that's a 4 now, that's a 4 now, and this is also a 2, which is great. All I need is something that points to here and not to here. So anything other than a 4 would be great. I need a 4 for there, and I need this thing goes somewhere. Not this thing. But if I put it here, nothing happens. If I put it there, it's 1 point. So planet and this thing, I think, is what I'm aiming for. But this thing triggers, no, it doesn't. I'm still missing that. Okay. These go away last round. Placing out. Nope, I don't get that. That's fine. Placing out stars. 1, 2, 3 like that. There is no 4, which means I can't get a blue star. So I don't get this pair of matching. But there's also no 4, so there's nothing for me to put there. Then, I don't want them to have that. I won't score this, but I will score 1 more planet, which is going to be worth it anyway. So I'm going to take the 2 so they don't. They take the largest here, which is a 3 and scores nothing. They take another 2. I need that. There are 2 of them anyway. Okay, they take another 2. I'm going to take that. And what I'm going to do is, this scores nothing if I put it out except for 2 bright stars. That's not worth it. I'm going to switch from 2 side to the black planet right there. And this one can slot right there, which flips my final dark branch. Like that. Means this one wants to be in the north sky for a point. It can't be, but it can have 2+ matching connections because here's a 4 and a 4 on that spot. So it does get 1 point for that, like that. And that is the end of the final round of the game. I think I did pretty well because the AI is not scoring a whole lot, but let's go ahead and get into scoring. And then the game does come with a very nice whiteboard scoreboard. So I will be using that. Where can I put it that you can see? How about right there? Those are already scored, so that's fine. So this is me, Purple Moose, and this is the AI. In game, I've got my 20 star plus 10 is 30, and I'll use this to calculate the starting points of the AI. So 12 and 14 is 26, and 12 is 38, and 14 is 48, and 4 is 52 for them. Then, stars. Here's a 3 with 3 paths. That's good. For 3 plus, here's a 3 with 3 paths. Another 3. Here's a 3 with 3 paths. Good. This 2 has 2 paths. Perfect. Over here, 1, yes. Doesn't matter. 4, yes. 4, yes. 1, yes. Nothing. 2 is good. 2 is good. 2 again is good. So that gives me 27 points. The AI, looking here based on this, it's got 2 sets of 2s, and it's got 1 set of 3s. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. Then planets. In the top, I've got blue and brown. In the east side, I've got blue and red. In the south, I've got red and black. And in the west, I've got black and brown. So I've got 2 unique in all 4 quadrants. So 2 times 2 is 4. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 quadrants. So 4 and 4 is 16. The AI has 1 planet, so they get 3 points. Then finally, for bonus, I've got 2 stars for each pair of planet and bright star in the northern sky. So I've got 2 bright stars and 2 planets. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus, I don't have any matching planets. Eastern sky, 2 planets and 3 bright stars. So again, 2 pairs, 2 and 2 is 4, and 4 is 8. I did not get a single thing, so I don't get that. And realistically, the AI didn't get in-game points. Those are its bonus points, 52. So 30 and 27 is 57, and 16 is 73, plus 8 makes for a final score for me of 81. And AI is 52, plus 3 and 7 is 10, finishes with a total of 62 points. So I did defeat the difficult AI. So while I'm here, I do like to take a look at the components, and looking at the components, all I can say is, wow. I love everything in this box. They have spared 0 expense for anything in here. Gorgeous artwork, gorgeous graphic design. These wooden components are very lightweight, but still very chunky, very clunky. Everything fits really nice together on here. Just masterclass in everything. These little green stars are kind of silly, but I love them. They're really cool little components. Again, these bags, again, this is the Kickstarter version. I don't know what's changing, but I don't think much is really. Yeah, looking at the Kickstarter campaign, the only thing that I can see that is exclusive to the Kickstarter campaign is this little box of what says Kickstarter exclusives in there. There are some extra different kinds of these astral tokens that sort of all of the players have at the same time and you're competing over. There's also a pretty cool module in here that rather than placing out the 4 dark branches at the beginning, you've got a shooting star that goes around the board. And at certain points along the way, you get to place in 1 dark branch at a time, which adds another new spatial puzzle element to it. I'm not going to talk about that any more than that because I want to talk about the base game and not the Kickstarter special stuff. But anyway, back to the look and feel of this game. These bags are sort of, I don't know if it's velvet, but it's very nice, smooth, maybe velveteen kind of cloth bag. Really cool designs, nice punchy colors. You can see sort of the branch logo-y design there, and the star is very clearly on this bag. Gorgeous bags, very big, very easy to get your hands in and sort of mix up the stuff and pull things out of. Love it, love it, love it. The planets themselves are really cool. They are clearly planets, but they also have this really cool sort of knitted feeling to them, or almost beads as well. great thing. All of these player boards, I don't know how well you could see that on the screen, are actually mats that are really, really nice. They all do fit in the box, which I'll show you in just a minute, but really heavy duty edge stitching on these mats. Really nice mats. Same thing here. This one as well is a mat. Just to show you the other player mats, they all have a unique character down here. And as I mentioned, one of them has the coyote. In the multiplayer game, whoever gets the coyote mat gets to be the first player. But all 4 of these mats, very cool designs, very unique little characters at the bottom of them. Just everything looks really, really nice. This is the first player marker. Again, really cool design, wooden component that didn't really need to exist because all it is to pass around or to show who's the first player at any given round. But really, really cool. The cards as well, just everything thematically looks really cool. The backs of these cards are very sort of textural, textile-y kind of looking things. These cards here have this cool wheel on the back of them. There are many different of those astral cards with different scoring conditions, but also they all have a unique symbol. And you can see that they all have a native name and sort of the description here: the Black God, Born for Water, Revolving Woman, Thunderbird. These are all different sort of constellations that the Navajo peoples, I guess, have a story for. Really, really cool. I'll talk more about the theming of this game in my final thoughts, but everything just oozes effort and beauty in this game. I love everything about the components, even to the point that they've got this whiteboard scoreboard here. Really cool stuff. And then as far as the insert goes, pretty well designed insert. The Kickstarter box that I showed you before goes right here. All of the big cards go in here. All of the components, yes, you're going to need baggies, but all of the components fit in here, and these bags can fit in as is with all of the tokens inside. These player mats are the same size as the box and sort of sit on top of everything after it's full. And then this player mat here rolls up very easily and then fits right here in this edge spot like that. Very nice insert, nothing all that fancy, but it holds all of the components very well. I'm very pleased with the whole package as far as the components go in this one. Meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. Before I get into anything at all about the game, I just want to give some big thumbs up to sort of the idea of the theming behind this game and the other game in the Pillars of Creation series, sort of focusing on these mythologies from cultures that are sort of lesser known, or at least mythologies that are lesser known to the populace as a whole. In this case, the Navajo creation myth, or the stars creation myth, and in the other game, the San people from Africa and their creation of the stars mythology as well. Really cool theming, especially in this one, really cool. I'm not going to say anything here because I don't want to sort of break culture, but in the sort of rule book for this game, there is the mythology, the written mythology, or realistically the transcribed mythology, because the Navajo mythology is apparently a spoken sort of tradition that is written in the rule book, but it specifically says in the rule book that they only sort of spoke these traditions or told these stories at certain times of the year. So the rule book specifically says that you shouldn't read that story depending on what time of the year you're playing. And I think that's really cool. Now, I know some people are going to break that probably, but for me, I held to it. And actually only just getting this game back out to start playing and remembering for this review, I finally was able to read that story. And I'm not going to say anything about the story here because I don't want to accidentally have somebody watch this video at the wrong time of year and hear that story, because I do want to sort of remain true to that cultural pattern or tradition. With that said, yay on the theming. I've already said yay on the artwork. Let's get into the game. Final Frontier is a company that I have become quite a fanboy of. Huge fan of Merchant's Cove, huge fan of Coloma, huge fan of pretty much everything they've put out, at least recently. The only one that didn't really work for me was Cavern Tavern, but I kind of would love to see that revisited and sort of streamlined and revamped a little, because there is potentially a fun game in there. But anyway, that's not the point. I am a big fan of this company. I'm also starting to become a really big fan of Drake Villareal, particularly as a sort of solo mode designer, because he's done solo modes in other games like Endless Winter. And I've been following sort of his progress. I know that some of his design became one of the new expansions for Merchant's Cove. And now this is the first game of his that I'm playing, I believe. I could be wrong. There may be one before, but currently in my brain, this is the one design of his that I know has his name on it and is his design. And I was very, very excited to play a Drake Villareal game sort of from the ground up and see how it all played out. So as a fan of Final Frontier, as a fan of Drake Villareal, how does this work? Well, let me start off by saying traditionally I've always considered myself as not really that big a fan of abstract strategy games. But with that being said, sort of in recent times, these more sort of tile placement, spatial puzzle kinds of abstract strategies are actually becoming a big favorite of mine. I'm still not a big fan of the sort of long-term strategic kind of abstract strategy games like chess or those other kinds of games where you're moving things around on a board and sort of planning out ahead how things are going to slot in later. But these sort of spatial puzzle games that are a sort of combination of long-term strategic planning, but more importantly, this turn-by-turn tactical slotting things into a puzzle kind of games are something that I've recently been getting really, really into. And I have to say that this one is one of my absolute favorites of that type of game. I am really, really loving what's happening here. And let me sort of talk about little by little what that is that I love so much about this game. First off, as a spatial puzzler, I love the sort of puzzle of placing down things that need to sort of be adjacent to other things or placed in certain locations to score based on different scoring goals, both during the game and at the end of the game, and sort of placing things based on placement restrictions and then figuring out how everything is going to combo together, because this sort of efficiency puzzle of placement for me is a whole lot of fun. And that's basically what this one has in spades, because not only is it about placing out, there are so many different kinds of goals working through in this game that you have to be thinking about sort of at all time to maximize that efficiency of scoring by the end of the game. So let me talk about those goals first, because in my mind in this game, the goals are sort of more important than the way that the game plays out. But the way that the game plays out is going to be very important working towards those goals. So you've got a variety of different goals. First, based on the board itself, you have the goals that each of the star cluster tiles that you put down have to be surrounded by a number of paths or branches that point to that star cluster, equaling the number of stars that's on that star cluster to score a number of points equal to the number of stars on that star cluster. So if I have a 4-star, I need 4 branches touching or directed towards that 4-star to score 4 points at the end of the game. Likewise, if I have a 2-star, I need only 2 branches and no more, no less, pointing to that place to score me 2 points at the end of the game. And this sort of puzzle of how do I put out the right thing so that the branches are pointing in the right way and also not pointing in other ways to score the most points as I can on my board. And knowing that if I place a 4 out in a location, I need to be able to surround it. So if it's next to one of those dark branches, I can't ever do that, so I can't ever place a 4 token or 4 tile in that location. So there's that that's the first basic level of how to place things out on the board. And in addition to that, in the base sort of level of scoring, is the idea of these planet tiles. And the planet tiles have to be in locations with no branches pointing to them, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Because it means that if you put it in a place, you have to make sure for the rest of the game that nothing ever points at that location. But it also means that when you start making these accidental blank spots as you're placing branches out to score other things, those blank spots can be filled in with those planets. But you're also sacrificing a star cluster in order to get that planet to slot the planet in, which is another level of thinking. But also, the planets are going to be scoring uniquely based on the skies that they're in on your board, but also non-matching or unique planets in each of those skies. So you have to sort of think about which colors go where and how you're planning out these planet locations, how the colors interact, how you can maximize scoring, because if you have a planet on 2 skies with a planet, 1 extra planet in each of those 2 skies, you're going to sort of double its scoring. And you kind of have to figure that out. If you put a planet in the middle of a sky, that's not useless, but less useful because it only scores once rather than if it's in a corner. So you have to sort of maximize the placement of the planets, think about which star clusters you're willing to give up and not give up, figure out how all these branches connect to things and don't connect to things depending on how that needs to happen. And then one more level on that is that some of the stars have bright stars, And you kind of want to cluster those in the sky because they're scoring sort of successive points or exponentially building, not really exponentially, but additionally building points every time you place another bright star in the same sky. It adds to the bright stars that have previously been in that sky, and the score keeps rolling bigger and bigger as you place them. So this is all sort of included in sort of the standard base of the game. But then on top of that, you've got 3 more sets of goals. You've got the astral tokens, which are sort of replacement star tiles or additional kind of star tiles that have to be placed in certain ways to score points on your board. They don't have to be placed in any kind of special placement in order to get placed. But if you want them to score points, you have to be able to place them in the sort of conditions that they are requesting or requiring for those points to be scored. And I'll talk more about that in a second, but the other 2 kinds of goals is the ability to finish off an entire sky. And you want to do that quickly because after the 7th round in the solo game, that flips over and goes away and you score less points for filling up a sky. But also, you don't want to do it too quickly because until you've filled up that sky and you've scored that points for a whole sky filled, you're scoring more points on any and all of the astral tokens that you're placing out during that time. So you kind of want to rush to get out the astral stuff out there to get the additional 2 points every single time you place them. But then get that night sky filled before, or the single sky filled, before the AI flips over that sky card, and then you only score 2 instead of 5 points. So there's a really cool timing aspect to that sort of combination of astral token and the sort of sky filling scoring. And then you've got all of those end game bonus scoring things that change up every game as well, that make it so that you're not just focused on the placement of branches and stars and planets in empty holes and planets versus planets in the same sky or different skies, but then also unique sort of combinations of those. Planets and bright stars in the same sky, matching planets, one of each of the different kinds of branch tokens, one of each of the different kinds of, or at least as many possible of the different kinds of star clusters. So there's all of these different sort of multi-layered goal combo scoring things that are working over top of each other. And all of this combined together is really cool. So I wanted to come back and talk about the astral tokens for a minute. These are exceptionally cool because, again, they're going to help you fill up the sky to get that full sky bonus. But also, it's interesting because most of the time, unless they have a specific score goal that scores based on the kinds of branches that are touching them, it doesn't matter how many branches are touching them. It only matters where they get placed, and then sort of based on which of their scoring goals they have, what else is around them in the same sky, next to them, and so on. So it gives you some flexibility of sort of spaces that if you mess it up and a star cluster can't go there to score, you can still place in one of your astral tokens there to score based on something else. So it gives you a little flexibility in what you're placing out when, but it also gives you an additional layer of things to think about how things connect and how things layer over each other. And the combination of all of this stuff working together really makes for a very interesting and unique puzzle. So it's interesting to me because for this game, all of this goal scoring combo interaction stuff really does make for the game, because a lot of times in these abstract strategy tile placement spatial puzzle games, most of the game comes out in the drafting and sort of placement restriction puzzle. And there's a little bit of that here, because on every turn I'm drafting 1 star cluster and I'm drafting 1 branch. And realistically, there is a bit of competition with the AI, and I'll explain that in just a second. But realistically, I'm fairly flexible about what I can take in any given round, because as long as I plan well, I can sort of take the 2 things that I want, or maybe 1 thing that I want and 1 thing that I kind of want, depending on what the AI takes. So the drafting is not all that restrictive, except the tactical thinking about what comes out every round. And I tend to be a big fan of these tactical sort of input randomness kind of decisions in games. But the drafting in this is not all that thinky, because tending to be, I can choose mostly what I want, again, just based on what's randomly coming out of the bag. But then the placement restriction, again, you have to place star clusters next to branches that are already on the board. And you have to place branches next to star clusters that are already on the board. But you start with the 4 dark branches on the board, and you also start with the 4 sort of side 1 star clusters and the center 4 star cluster. So for the most part, that placement restriction really isn't there all that much, because very quickly you've got branches next to those other stars that are already on the board, or you've got a couple of star clusters next to the dark branches, and pretty much every location on the board is going to work in some way. It does mean at the beginning of the game you kind of have to start in one place and spread a little bit, but at least by mid-game, most of the locations on the board are already adjacent to something, and that doesn't really mess things up too much. So realistically, the drafting's not that tricky, and the placement restrictions aren't really that tough, but you've got layer after layer after layer of goal scoring, sort of connection, planning, plotting, spacing, and laying out kind of thinking going on. And I didn't mention, but with those astral tokens, you also have to think about the timing of where you're placing the branches out to make those dark branches flip to then give you the ability to place those astral tokens out. So there's a whole lot of game in the sort of goal scoring piece of this rather than in the drafting and restrictive placement kind of piece. And I like that this is kind of flipped on its head like that. It does make for an interesting game twist because of that. Now, I don't say it's completely without thought in the things that you're drafting or in the sort of way that you're placing things, but the AI does add some to that. And obviously in a multiplayer game, even more so, because your opponents would not only be drafting the things that they want, but probably watching more of what you need and drafting things away from you as well. But the AI works in a very interesting way. It's very predictable, which is good, because it does add another level to the thinking in this game. Because I need to think, well, in the first half of the game, it's choosing the smallest version of what you choose and then the largest version of the other thing, I think. I don't remember now. My brain thinks that might be the other way around. But then in the second half of the game, I think if I'm saying it right, it chooses the largest of the one you pick and the smallest of the other one. And I might have those backwards, but either way, it doesn't really change things up. And the only other thing that changes in the second half of the game is it does focus more on those bright stars than it does at the beginning of the game. But basically, the point of this is, every time you go into a drafting round, you have to take a tile, and then they're going to take one of the other tiles of that type based on what you picked, and then one of the other tiles before you based on what you picked the first time, or based on sort of the rules of what it's picking the second time. And this is pretty cool because now it's not just about which tokens or which tiles are available to me every round. I have to think, if I take this, this goes away and that goes away, and then I have to take something else. So now we are adding a little bit more thought into the drafting of the game. But more importantly, with the AI, I know how it's going to score. I know it wants pairs of branches and stars that are of the same number. So I need to do my best to make sure that if it gets a whole lot of 4-star clusters, I don't let it get any 4 branches. If it gets a whole lot of 4 branches, I don't let it get a whole lot of 4-star clusters, because those are going to score a lot of points. I need to make sure that it stays away from the bright stars wherever possible, because those are going to score points generally a lot, depending on how you're playing. If they get more of the same color, then not so much. But if they keep getting bright stars and there's lots of different colors of planets out on the board, they're going to start diversifying planets, scoring 3 points for each of those planets, which is almost always as good or better than the stars unless you're getting lots of 4 stars to them. And that's something you're generally trying really hard to avoid making happen. But the point is this, it really does then add a layer to that drafting, and it does feel probably more like what a multiplayer game would feel like, because there is that thought about what should I prevent the opponent from getting, and then what should I also be working to get for myself, and what kind of balance can I work in there so that it gets things that I don't really mind it having, but also I get all the things that I really need to get to score as many points as I could possibly get. So as far as that, as far as how the AI gets in your way, and as far as how the AI makes you think about the puzzle, I think this is a very, very successful sort of AI opponent that you're playing against. Where this game might suffer, and where you might say, hey Carl, how come you think this game is so good if, but where there's a slight negative here is that I've been playing this again a lot and a lot and a lot, not just for this review, but because I enjoy this game as much as I do. And it might just be that I'm good at these kinds of games, but I can now play on the difficult mode, the most difficult mode of this AI, and most of the time I'm going to win against the AI oftentimes by 15, 20 points more than the AI gets. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. I did speak to Drake Villareal, the designer of this game, and he mentioned that he would have loved to have had a little bit more development time to have sort of added another difficulty level to the AI. But for an abstract strategy game, given the time limits that he had, he basically did the best that he could. And I have to say, I agree. This is definitely a well-designed AI as far as how it works. It's just that their scoring is a little bit low. You could give them a boost in scoring and just say that's more difficult because they start with more points, but that doesn't really make it feel better. It just makes it mean that your score aim is a little bit higher. But realistically, I don't really care if I'm beating the AI or not. The AI is still adding that additional sort of wrinkle of how I draft the tiles and adding another wrinkle into the tactical decisions that I need to make to sort of efficiently maximize the points that I'm scoring in any game. And realistically, I think a fun way for calculating a score in this game could basically be choose the difficulty level that you feel comfortable with. And even if you are winning every time, choose that difficulty level, and instead of comparing your score against the AI at the end of the game, subtract the score of the AI from your own score, and that's sort of your score for that game. And then you can sort of use that as a sort of beat your own score system moving forward. How much difference can you get between yourself and the AI? Because then it's not just about you scoring well, it's about also you sort of pushing the AI's score as low as possible and sort of maximizing that gap between you and the AI. And I think that's a whole lot of fun. And honestly, even without it, just to see how well you can get through the puzzle using the AI, screwing up your stuff along the way, is still a whole lot of fun. This is still a very fun efficiency puzzle. Just the idea of running this sort of system through my brain, making these tactical decisions, aiming for these longer strategic long-term goals is a whole lot of fun. This game remains one of my favorite of this genre of sort of spatial puzzle tile laying kind of games, even if the AI is a little bit easier than I'd like it to be. This one stays on my shelf. I still have a whole lot of fun with it. If you'd watched my top 10 of last year, you know that this was high up on that list, and there's still really good reason for this to be that high. I'm having a ton of fun with this game. If this is the kind of game you think you might be interested in, I strongly recommend you check it out. The other game in this series, The Girl Who Made the Stars, is another fun game. It's a worker placement game. I've only played that a few times, and if I have some time in the future, I'd love to bring that one to the channel. So far, I do have to say I enjoy this one a little bit more, but again, I've only played that one a few times, so take that with a grain of salt, and I'd love to come back with that one for you. But again, big recommend on this one for me. I hope that this video was helpful. As always, if it was, I do ask that you like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.